What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Bitcoin today, the 10th of August. It is, like I said, it's the 10th, and here we are at $118.8 thousand right now, and climbing. It is Sunday. It is Sunday, right? Yeah, it's the last day of the week. 9 hours, 15 minutes left in the day here. If you remember my last video, I made an urgent warning update. I think. Let me see. Let's look at the 1 hour time frame. Let's see how wrong I got this. Right. Um, it would have been, if I'm not mistaken, it would have been like right here that I was saying we're going down. We're probably going to go down to about 115.5 to 114.5 thousand dollars. I was in favor of the 114.5 thousand dollar area, something like this, and we used the dreaded line of false hopes and deception as a indicator that that would happen. But you held it for whatever reason. You held it. The line actually accentuated over here, and then we actually found support extended over here, and then we actually found support just below the line. Again, these diagonal trend lines really do work out well if you know how to trade them. Just the reaction that I was looking for here was not the reaction that we got. We actually held it up pretty well for a good bit of the time, and then we finally did break below it. But we came back down here. I would hope that anybody and everybody, I myself was still bearish looking at this here coming down. I was like, okay, now's whenever it's going to happen. After this hour, at that point in time, you have to admit defeat. So at this point in time, I didn't make a video yesterday, but I would have flipped bullish, and I did flip bullish, and well, here we are, man. Here we are, 118.6K now. I wouldn't be surprised, here not to redact my bullishness, but if we did move down a little bit, because just looking at this here on the 1 hour time frame, 13 minutes left. Well, I mean, obviously we're wicking back down right now. There's not a lot of volume. We're trying to break out, and there's not a lot of volume. Typically when that happens, that doesn't promote continuation. Even here, when you did break out, I mean, I guess you had a good bit of volume there. But then that next candle here where you broke out, you saw a higher price, you had less volume, that brought you down, right? Nothing crazy, nothing dramatic, and I do think that there's still more money to be had to the upside than there is to the downside. If we're looking at this on a 30-day period for the Bitcoin liquidation map here, we are right up against that wall, that massive wall, to where it got, you guys, basically $11 billion we get liquidated. We're at 118.7, so 19.7, 20.7, 21.7, we're $3,000 away on the Bitcoin price on a $118,000 asset. We're $3,000 away from liquidating $10.5 billion, and across the space probably like 12 or $15 billion worth of longs. So crazy, crazy, crazy stuff. There's absolutely a lot of potential that we could go up there. We could see some sort of, why can't I talk? Some sort of short squeeze. Say that 5 times fast. We could see some sort of short squeeze. Some sort of short squeeze. By the end of today or tomorrow, something like that. But if we were to pull back from here, don't get discouraged, right? When I'm talking about momentary bearishness, I'm not talking about that drop to 14,500. I think that's out the window, guys. Again, remember, I was talking about 14,500 to $15,500 as a target area. I actually still have a buy order there. I need to change that, high to low, because we were at the 0.5. And the idea was, we've been finding resistance at the 0.5 a lot and going to the 236. That's actually been something pretty common across the space lately, even with Bitcoin. But we found support at the 382. We came up above the 0.5 here, looking like we're going to get that daily close today. I mean, at this point in time, we're at the golden ratio. Now what we look for is a different setup, which is, you come up to the golden ratio on your first attempt. The odds are something like 70 to 80% that you will find resistance here, okay? And when you find resistance, you'll come back down to the 0.5 or the 382. So 115.5 and below is off the table. I wouldn't say I'd be discouraged, but it wouldn't be normal on a fib retracement scale to go to your golden ratio and then all the way back down to your 236. It's also not normal, but it happens, to go below your 382. Sometimes you find support right at your 382, but you wick a little bit below it, and that's okay. As long as we're closing, again, we want to close above these 382s, man. At this point in time, I think it's irrefutable. Depending on how today closes. We have 9 hours and 10 minutes left in the day. Let's see how it goes. Okay, I might be speaking too soon, but let's see how today closes. Okay, and again, don't get too bearish on any momentary bearishness, but from a low to a high. As long as we're closing above the 113K, we validate this as well. As long as we're closing above the 236, we're adding to that validation. So 116.8K really is the line we need to hold. We're going to have our first day closing above it now since the one day we closed here. We want 2 days in a row to close above the 236. If we can get that, I think we have confirmation, okay? 2 days in a row to close above the 236. If you notice, and I'm going to put a line right here, right where the red line is there. Come on now, baby. There we go. That is right in the zone that we would expect to go to, right? The 0.5382 zone, it's very common. In fact, I would say, like with the, if you find resistance here, I mean, it's absurdly uncommon to interact with any level that's not at least at the 0.5, if not lower, right? Even if you find resistance right here, it's absurdly uncommon. So the odds, we're at 118.7K right now. The odds of returning to 117.4 to 116.1 are very high, very, very high. Okay, especially because this is the first interaction. Not only that, but if you look in the way of the price action too, you take away the fibs. This is an area of support right here as well from prior candles for a long time there. So I would think that we move up a little bit more. $119,500, $120,000. Maybe we do, and Bitcoin has. We said this down here. If we look at this from a high to or a low to a high here, low to a high right here, we bounced. You can see we bounced right off the 786. Let me do this again. Low to high, bounced right off the 786 right there. We do have kind of a flirtation with the 786 throughout this whole range we have. So hopefully this part doesn't backfire. Just like the call to reject the 0.5 and then move down to the 236 backfired. Hopefully this one doesn't backfire. But I think that we have a chance more than normal in this area to go up to the 786 and find resistance. So the highest price I'd give us is about $121,000. Wherever we go, though, I would anticipate that we pull back to this zone here. If we do go up to the 786, I'll tell you what, if we do go up to the 786, it does up the chances that we don't go down here and that we do come back to the golden ratio to find support. But either way, there's no need to be in a rush for things, right? If you're trying to get into long positions, short positions, buy some cryptos, whatever, I would anticipate, plus the full moon just happened, right? We normally do dump after the full moon. It's not uncommon to pump right after it too, but then dump into it. So waiting on the end of the day here, waiting to see what we do tomorrow to open up the week. I really wouldn't be surprised if the opening of the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we had some red days. And then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we started to come back up, okay? I don't think next week's going to be the week we were looking for as far as getting to new all-time highs go, but we're getting close. We're getting very close, you guys. And going into the end of the month, we should see that eruption to new levels, 130K, 140K, and going into higher prices by the end of September. Unless, there's some people who are calling for this to be an area of resistance. We kind of dilly-dally. We see something like that, and then we come down and we'll find support here. We'll get an overall high or low, something like that. If that happens by the end of August, then, I wouldn't be upset with that. I'm okay with Bitcoin holding off on its explosive growth because then that just means we have more time to accumulate, but that's not what I'm expecting, at least not at the moment. You look very powerful, and there are a lot of shorts to liquidate here that would send you up above 121K. All right, I got nothing else for you guys. Essentially, what I'm saying here, let's do this real quick. Actually, let's look at the 1 hour time frame. I think that we are going to move up. Actually, I don't think that we'll see momentary bearishness, at least not right now. MACD, no, I think it all looks good. Stochastics, MACD, RSI. 4 hour time frame, the RSI looks good. Stochastics look good. MACD looks good. I would think that this all says continuation. You're at a point you're really playing with the bears here, and I've been pretty bullish throughout this whole range. But I got played even on this little spot right here, but very, very bullish overall. You are in the same kind of context of what I was saying earlier with these diagonal lines. You are from a high point here to a high point there, right above this diagonal line. So the best point to sell. A lot of people probably went short right here around this level, and maybe are even going short now. If we push a little higher to these areas at 119.8 to 121K, that would probably be where we find resistance just above the white line. Back test it, find support, blah, 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 continue to run. So I do think that we're going to continue to move up from here. I wouldn't be surprised if by the time most of you watch this, we were above 119K. But I got nothing else for you. Hit the like button. Look at that daily MACD, man. That's beautiful. That is actually very beautiful. That's a very beautiful look right there. Stochastics getting overbought. Everything suggests continuation on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis. Take care. Hit the like button. Bye.